Yoga Alliance, new standards for 200-hour schools. What do you need to know? Okay, don't panic. Let's break it down. So Yoga Alliance is rolling out some new standards for its schools. Right now, they've only articulated what the 200-hour schools are going to have to do. We're still waiting to hear about the upcoming changes for 300 and 500-hour. So if you're 300, 500-hour, don't worry about that. Put that off till next year. We'll deal with that when they tell us what they want to do. But for now and for today, we're going to focus on the 200-hour schools, the 200-hour standards, and what you need to know. The biggest change: you are no longer allowed to be a lead trainer if you only have a 200-hour certification. So up until now, and this is going to go on for the next year or so, no one's rushing into this, but you were able to be a lead trainer in a 200-hour program if you were an ERYT 200. That is, you have a 200-hour certification and you've taught a bunch of hours. No longer. We're upgrading that. So now all lead trainers for 200-hour programs have to be ERYT 500. So that means, most importantly for you, if you are a lead trainer in a school and you are only certified at the 200-hour level, you need to go get your 500-hour certification in order to still be a lead trainer. Now, don't panic. These changes aren't going to be enforced until February 2022. Okay, so you have some time to go out and get this certification. But in an ideal world, you would go out, you would get your 500-hour certification, because after you get that 500-hour certification, you still need to teach 500 hours, and then you can be an ERYT 500. So if you're 200-hour certified, go out, find your 300-hour course of your dreams, and start applying to that, working on your course curriculum, so that preferably by February 2021, you can apply to be an RYT 500-hour, so that by the time all this is enforced in February 2022, you are an ERYT registered with Yoga Alliance and good to go as a lead trainer. Okay, so that's the biggest thing that our lead trainers out there might need to be thinking about. Okay, number 2, the number of hours that the lead trainers have to teach has upped. So until now, as lead trainers, you have 2 lead trainers per 200-hour program, and you only have to teach like 65 hours. Okay, now going forward, you have to teach 150 hours. So basically, the bulk of the program is going to be shared between 2 trainers. And I do think it's 2 trainers. Yoga Alliance hasn't quite mentioned, but I think that they're allowing you to still have 2 lead trainers on a 200-hour program, which is civilized. So that means no more outsourcing a lot of material to a bunch of different people. The lead trainers are going to be teaching the majority of it. Change number 3, online hours. So until now, almost all the hours had to be in person. Now Yoga Alliance is allowing you to do 40 hours of the 200 online. You can do 20 hours of anatomy online. You can do 20 hours of philosophy online. That totally makes sense. Those are great topics to outsource to an online program. However, you still have to do 10 additional hours of anatomy in person and 10 additional hours of philosophy in person. So you can't just outsource those topics entirely, but now you can give them to an online course. So that's nice. So 40 hours of the 200-hour training can be done through online education. If you have questions about that, feel free to hit me up. Online education is my jam. All right. So the other piece of it is that there are no more non-contact hours. So currently we have like a bunch of in-person hours, then they could just do 20 hours of reading or, homework or practicing outside of the classroom. Those are kind of gone now. So we have 150 hours that are split between 2 lead trainers, 10 hours in person that can be taught by kind of a specialist, and then 40 hours that can be optionally online or taught by someone else. All right, but all the hours are now accounted for. There's no rough hours of random homework. Okay, so that's the other change. Next, pachonk. There's a slight change in the categories. So as you may recall from your submission, when you apply and put in your lesson plans, you kind of put them into 5 different buckets: techniques, training, and practice, teaching methodology, anatomy, ethics, and practicum. Okay, so it's 5 buckets. Yoga Alliance is just consolidating those down to 4. This is not a big deal. It is not a big change. The hours aren't appreciably different. Basically, it means that the lesson plans that you have for your curriculum, you're just going to put into 4 different boxes. not a big deal on that one. And I think when you apply again, it's going to be pretty clear how to make that happen. So now let's talk about the final change, which is going to be the change in the application process itself. So applying. So if you are a current school, you can, next year, 2021, you can just simply reapply using your current syllabus, no changes required, okay? If you want to apply next year and renew using the new standards, apparently you will be able to as of February, okay? But just so you know, you don't have to until 2021. So you don't have to do anything for like a while, okay? But when that time comes, my friends, everyone is going to have to resubmit their school using the new standards in February 2021. So you're going to want to have kind of a plan together by then. And the application process under the new standards is going to be more rigorous. Well, thank goodness. Frankly, you guys, until now, what you could kind of do with Yoga Alliance was just sort of make up a syllabus and make up some lesson plans, submit it, and then create your training afterwards. Well, probably not so much anymore, because the new application process requires you to actually submit your manual. So you need to give them your manual, you need to give them your training materials. If you have trainer notes, you're going to need to submit those, your assessments like your tests, your practicums, rubrics. If you don't know what that is, ask me, I can sort you out. You're going to need to submit all of that stuff, your school policies, and there's some other little pieces in there as well. But basically, it's going to be a far more robust application process, which will require you to have done your due diligence and basically have your training created and planned and all the materials done. Now, this is far better, but it probably means that Yoga Alliance is also going to take longer to approve everything. I'm just guessing. Okay, so let's summarize. Moral of the story, if you are currently a teacher in a teacher training program and you only have a 200-hour certification, you're going to need to up that to 500-hour, okay? Step 2 or part 2, you can now outsource 40 hours online, which is nice. So there are some great providers out there that you may want to check into. If that's something you want to outsource, you don't have to. Or you want to create your own online program, talk to me, that's what I do. If that's something that's of interest to you, then you could take some of those hours outside of the classroom. And frankly, being able to work online is very popular with students. So that could be something you are considering for your school. And then the next thing is that when you submit your school under these new standards, it's going to be more rigorous. You're going to have your act together a little bit more in terms of all of your training materials and stuff like that. And if you are a new school who is just applying to the 200-hour, you're going to be applying under these new standards starting February 2020. So you're going to have to, kind of have a more robust application at that time. So there you go, guys. That's what's going on with Yoga Alliance right now. I have a school I'm going to be submitting and reapplying as soon as I can. So I'll keep you guys posted on how that process is going. And as always, you can always reach out to me for questions. I'm also going to put together an online course. I currently have a course which is about applying for Yoga Alliance. I'm going to upgrade that once we have more information on this new process and new standards in order to keep you guys up to date and give you some resources if you want a step-by-step walkthrough of what to do. So stay tuned for that. All right, you guys.